What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on, NFL world? How you doing, division rivals? This is Steven Hyder with Gate City Sports Channel, the sports channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. Listen, guys, if you are new, if this is the first time you're tuning into the video, or if you watched a couple of videos but you haven't subscribed yet, if you guys could do me a huge favor, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It means a lot, guys. Also, if you just do me a huge favor, if you honestly like the content I'm putting out there, please hit that like button. That's how we communicate with YouTube to let YouTube know to recommend this video to other people. And also, look, guys, if you got questions, if you got comments, hey, I think I'm pretty good about responding to people. I always try to feel out and identify everyone I see and give them back a comment. I think it's a big part of what a community is about is that if you're going to make the videos, then you kind of have to communicate with the community in which you're creating. So, all right, guys, just do me those few favors, guys. It'll go a long way for launching the channel and getting it out there to people. Today's topic, guys, once again, the information coming down from the coaching staff is that the injury status of Jordan Howard and Nelson Aguilar is as status quo. Take that for whatever it means. To me, that means it's very unlikely that either two of these guys are going to play this Sunday versus Dallas. I know that for some people this may not seem like a big deal, but I do think when you start going against people like Dallas, this is kind of an all hands on deck game. If you can play, you should be playing. And there is a part of me that does wonder how much of this is on the player, how much of this is maybe on the coaching staff, being like, hey, look, guys, just take your time with your injuries, get yourselves fully healed in case there is a playoff run, just because maybe they want to evaluate the talent, in the room between Boston Scott, Miles Sanders in the backfield, Rob Davis and Greg Ward Jr. and Jordan Matthews. Wow. J.J. Arcega-White, that's the one guy we're not worried about evaluating any longer. I'm not too sure where we're falling on that, but it does concern me that once again, look, I think honestly, I'm going to be honest, I think losing Jordan Howard is a big deal, guys. So today, I want to talk about what this backfield is going to look like. What are our limitations? What do we do really well? And what is there to be excited for? Hint, hint. Should be excited about Miles Sanders. The kid's he's lightning in a bottle, guys. He's electrifying. We got something there. Rolling right and throws. Let's start with what I think is not only the good, but the exceptional. Miles Sanders, for as much as he may have struggled earlier in the football season with identifying the correct hole to run through, maybe having happy feet in the backfield.
Around on the defensive front, and the handoff here is...
Boy, oh boy, has he developed. I thought early on in the season, not that the coaching was bad on Deuce Staley's part, because I think we all know Deuce Staley's a really good positional coach, but his administrative duties in terms of selecting what players should be in on what down and distance and what particular personnel packages and within what play, within the playbook and the game plan, I thought was pretty bad early on. I thought he was making some pretty big mistakes there, since he is the person who does decide which player is in on those plays. He doesn't design the running plays per se. I think he's part of that committee, but that largely falls on the offensive line coach. Our offensive line coach is actually the running game coordinator. So that's on Stoutland. But Deuce does pick and choose which player goes in for which play, pretty much. So, look, Deuce showed faith in the kid. When it got to the point where he clearly needed a little more one-on-one and some teaching, he pulled the reins back on the kid and played more with Jordan Howard. And then when Jordan Howard went down, the Eagles went away from the run for a little bit. But over these past about 3 games or so, we've really seen the reemergence of Miles Sanders. And what I like about Miles Sanders, guys, is that he can get a defense moving essentially vertically. He can get it moving vertically. He can plant his foot, hit a hole, and run right through it, downhill. That's something I did not suspect from this kid. He's got an element of toughness to him that I didn't see coming.
So beat up at that position, and here's Sanders inside the 5.
When I was shown film of this kid from college, and mind you, I only watched maybe 2 Penn State games last year, so I wasn't that familiar with Miles Sanders. But everything I read, the little bit of film I had watched on Miles Sanders, did not tell me this kid was going to be this kind of hey, like, I'll hit you in the mouth type running back. I didn't see that. I thought this kid was going to be more of a shady, kind of stretch the field, break your ankles type, which he clearly has that ability. So, the number one thing that I like about Miles Sanders is the fact that he will plant his foot in the ground, accelerate through a hole, and go right into contact.
He's on this drive, accounting for 30 yards, but now a couple of more by the Eagles.
He can be a downhill runner. And then what makes his game even more impressive is the fact that he can also move a defense laterally. You can motion Miles Sanders. You can pull him outside as a split back, bring him back to the backfield, motion him on a jet. You can do all the things that we use Boston Scott for. You can do the same thing with Miles Sanders.
The running back, he gets the football and has room to run for the first down.
And he does keep a defense kind of like crap, moving laterally, trying to keep up with where this kid is. He is a threat. This kid has elite level speed and agility. I'm not too sure that Miles Sanders' top end speed, like if you tied him on the 40, is necessarily all of that impressive. He's not like Chris Johnson back in the day, former ECU football player who played with the Tennessee Titans for a long time that had that 4.3, 4.2 speed. I think actually he was in the 4.2s, if I remember correctly, when he got timed out there in ECU. He's not that type of elite speed, but that type of speed doesn't always add up to how fast you are with pads on in a football game, making cuts, coming in and out of cuts, planning, stopping, all that stuff. I think that type of speed is a little different. That's if you got somebody on a seam route, you got them on a post route, you got them on a wheel route as a running back, like, yeah, that kind of speed matters. But, obviously if there's a hole and you can accelerate through that hole, of course that kind of speed matters. But we see these elements of Miles Sanders as well. I mean, if you look at that play where he just ran away from Landon Collins, I mean, it was funny. I mean, Landon Collins had no shot at catching Miles Sanders. That was a heck of a play. That kid is showing us he can catch the ball. He can run downhill with the ball. He can go laterally with the football. He can pick up in pass protection. He's gotten a lot better. Miles Sanders is a legitimate star.
And Wentz hands it off. Getting lost in traffic there with Sanders, and he just runs out.
All right, now, Boston Scott. Boston Scott has that wiggle, right? He's a shorter guy. He's shorter in stature, 5'6"-ish, 5'7"-ish. He's a shorter dude. He's got a very quick first and second step. He's really quick out of the break. He's a very quick guy like that. He's very agile. He's really good at the essentially that lateral movement. They love to really test the defense out by constantly motioning him, faking jet screens, the jet sweep.
0.2% of their targets have been dropped this year. As they go with Scott on the jet.
And just seeing how the defense reacts to see if they can catch him sleeping, and then going back to that play they think the defense is sleeping. He's very good in the screen game. He's very good in the receiving game in general.
All right, so now Wentz going to work on a first down, and that is Scott.
He's got some improvement he needs to make. He needs to become a much better blocking back. There are times where he does get blown up in the backfield as a pass blocking back. That's got to improve a little bit. He's also a young guy who hasn't had a lot of playing experience. I mean, he's older than Miles Sanders, but I don't think he's that much older than Jordan Howard. I think maybe they're around the same age. He might be a year or so older, but I mean, they're similar in age, so he's not, and obviously Jordan Howard's had a lot more reps in the NFL than Boston Scott has. So, I mean, Boston Scott, to me, has potential. I think Boston Scott could be a very good 2 or 3 back, your second or your third back. He's a guy that can play special teams. He's a guy that can give you offensive productivity. He's a guy that can be a nightmare to match up with. As soon as the Eagles figure out that, the 2-back set should be utilized more and more during games, I think that the lack of explosiveness of our offense will start to dissipate. You're going to see this offense become way more vertical, way more lateral speed when you have players in there like Rob Davis who can stretch the field. I don't know if you guys watched. They didn't target him, but if you just watch him run in the game, he was getting separation. He's fast. That kid still got it. hopefully he builds rapport with Carson Wentz, and Carson Wentz gains a little trust in the kid and says, you know what? I'm going to put one out there for him and just see if he comes up with a play. Because I do think that if you can get speed on the field like Robert Davis, then you can stretch people laterally with a guy like Boston Scott, Miles Sanders. You can make them really hold the defense on a play action now with those two running backs in the game, going two back sets. What you're going to do is you're honestly going to open up the middle third of the field. It's going to give players like Greg Ward Jr., it's going to give Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert a lot more room to operate with underneath the field. Now you get a role for a guy like J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who still does need a lot of development, guys. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside needs to be more than just an every now and then go high point the ball, go get it kind of guy. I mean, we spent a second-round pick on this kid. We need to see a lot more development from him. And unfortunately, I don't know what's going to happen this season with Carson Welch as our wide receiver coach. I don't think it's going to happen until we get a legitimate wide receiver coach who can actually develop this kid. So, unfortunately, I think this is almost a throwaway year for JJ, unfortunately. But I do like the potential that a guy like Boston Scott brings to the Philadelphia Eagles offense. And I think he improves our speed, the team speed on offense, drastically when he's in the game, especially when he's in the game with Miles Sanders, with Greg Ward Jr., finding a way to get Rob Davis on the field at the same time. Like, you're increasing this team speed if you do that.
Scott out of the backfield.
The most disappointing news of today for me personally was to hear basically Doug Peterson in his press conference relate to the status of Jordan Howard, and he was also referring to Nelson Aguilar, and said that basically their status for the game time is still status quo. Basically meaning there's been really no change. Stinger, this long, something's going on. I think the Eagles are certainly going to get fined for the way that we've handled this Jordan Howard thing, because they clearly did not correctly notify the league basically the extent to this injury. And I've heard other people talk about it and write about it, say that the Eagles are likely going to get fined for this. I would say it's about 100% certain that something's going to come down from this. Like, this is a very long length of time for this guy to be out and be listed as like day to day and week to week. Like, no, come on. So to me, that's very disappointing, because what Jordan Howard brings to this offense is physicality.
High snap, handoff to Howard. And the former.
This is a guy that, like, he's not going to give you those big rips down the field like Miles Sanders will. But you know what? He's going to constantly just keep pounding the ball on teams. He's going to be very dependable in pass blocking.
It's a big atmosphere in a must-win game. 3rd down and 3. The pass.
He's just a strong physical guy. When we get him down near the goal line, that guy is a bowling ball at the goal line. He makes our red zone offense a lot more efficient.
Howard, touchdown.
I love everything that Miles Sanders has developed into. And I do think that Miles Sanders has absolutely earned his right to be the featured back. But having Jordan Howard out there with him, having Boston Scott out there, man, I had visions of Doug Peterson and this offense being creative and finding ways to get all 3 running backs on the field. Could you imagine having an offense where you got Jordan Howard and you got Miles Sanders in the backfield? You got Boston Scott basically lined up as a wide receiver. You got Greg Ward Jr. on the field. And then you got, Ertz or Goddard. Or you got, Rob Davis out there. I mean, immediately the speed, the physicality, and the versatility of this offense goes through the roof. To me, that takes away some of the creativity that we could have. And that sucks. To me, that was the most disappointing news of today, is the fact that we will still be without Jordan Howard, is what it looks like. Look, things may progress during the week. We might find out that he is cleared medically to play, because that's all we're waiting for, is the clearance on that shoulder. Once we get clearance, medical clearance, we're all good.
Delayed handoff. Sanders has some room.
All right, guys, just to kind of close out today's video, my main point is looking at what we know about this running back group we have. I think one of the clear keys to victory this Sunday, in a game that's basically going to decide the NFC East is for the Eagles to get behind their running game, to feature Miles Sanders, to find ways of using the unique abilities of Boston Scott. And if we fall on the side of grace and somehow, some way, Jordan Howard is cleared to play, this is a much different football team. This is a football team that is not so much finesse anymore as it is just straight strength with finesse. It would make a difference. However, I think at this point in the season, you just kind of have to go with what you know you're going to have on the football field and not have expectations that might not be realized with player personnel. All right, y'all. I'm out here. That's all I got for y'all today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You guys tell me your thoughts. What do you think about this issue with Jordan Howard? What do you guys think about Miles Sanders going forward as that feature back? What do you guys think about Boston Scott? All right, y'all. Peace. I'm out here. You know what time it is. EAGLES. Hey, you want to keep this offense on the sideline, Dak Prescott and these wide receivers? You want to try to give our defense a fighting chance in this game? Control the time of possession with the running game. And when we get into the red zone, use the running game to push the ball into the end zone. We can't be putting up field goals. We need to be putting up touchdowns. All right, y'all. I'm out of here.